What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Good morning. Welcome to your daily dose of transfer news, rumours, discussion. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to make a bit of a, after the bank holiday, I'm trying to do my best not to be super negative and downbeat on transfers when it comes to Manchester United. I have a feeling I might break that in the next 30 minutes or so, but I'm going to do my very best. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner as well. We've got quite a lot to get into today. We've got the latest when it comes to the Frankie de Jong saga, I suppose. I mean, it's quite interesting how you look at this because over in Spain, outlets in Spain, reports in Spain are, of course, all over this. It's Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs, one of the two biggest clubs in Spain. And there's lots of contrasting information about reasons for selling, if they're going to sell, why they're going to sell, etc. Over here, in the sort of the domestic journalists, there's not actually too much discussion about it, apart from United are interested, United are in talk. So we're going to talk about some of the reports coming out of Spain when it comes to Frankie de Jong. We're also going to talk a little bit about, I suppose, patience when it comes to transfers in Manchester United, because I have to catch myself. And I have caught myself doing this the last couple of days when you're talking about all of these transfers, all of these rumours, going, oh, why aren't United doing anything? And then you do have to take a bit of a step back and say, transfer window opens on Friday. It's not even open yet, so we've got to talk about that. We are going to talk a little bit about Nunez and how that deal really isn't close right now. Of course, we've got a rivalry when it comes to Liverpool and possibly other clubs being interested, so we're going to talk about that too. It wouldn't be a transfer morning show without a discussion on Mike Phelan, of course, the legendary Mike Phelan on the channel and his Manchester United future. I know, that's what's going to hook you in. Forget Frankie de Jong, forget Nunez, it's about Mike Phelan. That's the discussion you're really here for. We're going to talk about him. I'm also going to wrap it up by talking about Dean Henderson as well, and how a lot of people assumed he was going to Newcastle. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, so we're going to talk about that as well. But as I mentioned, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. I can see you all in the free seats saying good morning. Raz saying morning, Owen. Fat Thor, one of my favourite names. And he's no longer going to be that fat anymore, Thor, because, I mean, spoilers, but I won't go there, actually, because I know Josh will be upset. Every time I talk about a Marvel thing and I reference a trailer, he gets very upset and angry, so I'm not going to. Did you see the first trailer for Thor, Josh? I did. He did, so you know the physical transformation. Yeah, so so no longer is he going to be Fat Thor, so you might have to change your name. You might have to change your name in the future. But let's get into the transfer news. Let's start off talking about Frankie de Jong. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's a lot when it comes to Frankie de Jong coming out of Spain, less so when it comes over here in the UK. But we're going to start off talking about an outlet, and I'm going to butcher the names as always, but Javi Miguel is saying that Manchester United would be willing to make a irrefutable offer to Barcelona for Frankie de Jong. Now, when I saw that and I read that, I did kind of roll my eyes because, first of all, what is an irrefutable offer? Are they talking when it comes to just purely finances? There's been so many prices quoted. There has been reports that other clubs, aside from Manchester United, Manchester City, PSG, they're both interested in Frankie de Jong. But Manchester United are really the only club that's willing to give Barcelona what they want in terms of finances, in terms of a transfer fee. But the reason I kind of rolled my eyes and I went, and again, I told you I'd break this resolution to be negative about transfers. The reason I roll my eyes when it comes to the Frankie de Jong irrefutable offer is because given Barcelona's financial situation, given the fact that they have to sell, we know they have to sell, they have to make something like 500 million euros before the end of June. Any offer is an irrefutable offer. When you need the money and someone says, I will give you the money, that's irrefutable. It doesn't matter really how much. You know, obviously they've got a valuation. Obviously they've got a price that they would hope they would get for Frankie de Jong, but any offer's irrefutable. So I kind of, when I saw that, I went, well, isn't any offer irrefutable when it comes to Frankie de Jong at the moment? Nevertheless, United seem to be the ones that are willing to pay Barcelona what they want. They seem to be the ones that are first in line when it comes to this whole Frankie de Jong discussion. Flex kind of spoke about this the other day with his Flex on the Beach show. Hope you're all enjoying that as well. The intro is tremendous. I will miss that when that goes. The intro is tremendous. And actually, I'm already getting sidetracked, but if you go and watch yesterday's Flex on the Beach video, right at the start, Flex is in the sea or the ocean, right? And he nearly falls over. He loses his footing. And if that's your kind of humor, which it is for me, people falling over is always funny. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but people falling over is always funny. And he nearly fell over. He had his sort of, what was it, aviators? Is that what you call them? The sunglasses on. Oh, I kind of wish he did properly fall over. That would have been just the greatest. That would have been the best. But nevertheless, he was talking about it yesterday, talking about Frankie de Jong and all that kind of stuff. And again, it's just, I guess we are first in line because we're the ones that are willing to pay what Barcelona want. I think you could argue that maybe that's naivety from Manchester United, right? These other clubs like PSG or like Man City, they realize the financial situation that Barcelona are in. They realize that, that they could actually maybe haggle a bit of a better price. But Manchester United are actually like, okay, we'll give you what you want. We really want the player. Erik ten Hag really wants the player. So as I mentioned, when I see the whole an irrefutable offer, I do kind of roll my eyes because I say, that's any offer. But it doesn't stop though when it comes to Frankie de Jong. As I mentioned, there's lots of little sort of nitty-gritty parts of these reports coming out of Spain. So another one, this is from Dario Sport over there in Spain, is saying that Manchester United hope to convince Frankie de Jong to join the club next week. Now, we know that this deadline does exist because it's not the first time this thing has been reported when it comes to Manchester United hope to sign Frankie de Jong, or they hope to have the deal wrapped up for Frankie de Jong by the middle of June. Middle of June's next week, which I know seems crazy because it feels like June only started yesterday, but we're a week in at this point. Next week, it's going to be halfway through the month. And do I see... I mean, if we're talking literally halfway through the month, that's 8 days away. That's a week tomorrow. Do we see next Wednesday Frankie de Jong or an announcement being made, maybe not holding up the shirt or anything like that, but certainly a social media post of Manchester United are delighted to announce that they have agreed a deal in principle to sign Frankie de Jong from Barcelona, and they say the price or whatever. Do we expect that to be happening next Wednesday? No. I would be really, really, really surprised because for a transfer that has been already so convoluted, and we're really still in the really, really, really early stages about this. For a transfer that is so convoluted, that is so complex, that hinges on Barcelona's financial situation, that hinges on not only just that, but Frankie de Jong even wanting to come to the club. Frankie de Jong wanting to play Champions League football, which Manchester United can't offer, with Erik ten Hag seducing Frankie de Jong to come to Manchester United. All that's going to get resolved in the next 8 days? Really? I would be very surprised because it would certainly be from a snail's pace, which has been how this deal is going around, to a Formula One car in the space of 8 days. I would be floored if that were to be the case. Now, in fairness, when it comes to transfers, and you see this when it comes to sort of deadline days at the end of the summer or winter transfer window, deals can get done quickly. They can, if there is, pressure to do so, and if their backs are against the wall, and if time is of the essence and all that kind of stuff. But it's not. At the moment, it really isn't. By the time next week rolls around, next Wednesday, the transfer window would have only been open 5 days. So I would be really, really surprised if by next Wednesday we're talking about Frankie de Jong being on the verge of signing for Manchester United or that deal being done in principle. I would be very, very surprised. But look, who knows? With everything we've seen over the last 18 months of Manchester United, anything's possible, I suppose. Super chat from Keegan says, "Good morning, Owen." Good morning, Keegan. Have you seen the Michael Knighton interviews about buying the club from the Glazers? Also, I don't think we can do business before the season. I did see a quote from that, Keegan, to your point. I did see a quote saying that it was something to the effect of the primary value of Manchester United to the Glazers is the ability to take money out of the club, I believe. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's essentially what he was saying there. And that's, to be honest, that's not really any groundbreaking news. We kind of know that. I mean, I remember seeing, was it a couple of weeks ago, where Avram Glazer was at this World Economic Forum or Financial Forum, and the Sky News reporter came up to him and was asking him, and the guy was like, "Of course we're disappointed." And they said, "Are you going to sign people in the summer?" He goes, "We've always made money available for players in the summer." And That's the thing. That's the go-to with the Glazers, and it's also the go-to when it comes to opposition fans as well. Because every time you're speaking to a friend or a family member or whoever that's an opposition fan, they always point this out about Manchester United, don't they? They always say, "But you have spent money on transfers," and it's true. Like in the case of since Sir Alex Ferguson's left, we spent £1 billion quid on players, pretty much the same amount as Manchester City, give or take. And look what they've done with it, and look what we haven't done with it, as it were. The issue is, and this is the point of contention for Manchester United fans, is it's not the Glazers' money, it's Manchester United's money. The Glazers haven't invested any of their own money. They barely have any money since, was it 2011? It's been over a decade since they invested a single penny of their own money in Manchester United. During that time, they've taken millions and millions and millions of pounds out of the club. So for him to say in that interview that the primary value of Manchester United is the ability to take money out of the club, we know that. We know that. That's always been the case. You know, they've got their real, I guess, true passion project, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Manchester United is just... it's just part of the portfolio, I guess. But yes, to round that bit up, where we're talking about Frankie de Jong, the deal being done next week, no. I would be really surprised. And again, reports out of Spain are saying what we already know about the price and the value of a Frankie de Jong deal. Similar reports are now saying between 70 to 80 million euros, which again, we already know. And you do get the impression that if we are to sign Frankie de Jong, and I go back and forth so much about how much I truly buy into this deal happening, honestly. I think it's very, very safe to say Frankie de Jong, come the end of the summer transfer window, will not be a Barcelona player. I think he probably still has to come to terms with that in some of the interviews that he's been doing recently. He always says, I love Barcelona, this is my dream club, etc. Xavi can do interviews and say, we really like the player. Maybe it hasn't lived up to the standards that we'd hoped, but still we really like the player. But the crux of it are, come the end of the transfer window, he's not going to be a Barcelona player. Is he going to be a Manchester United player, though? That's the tough one. That is the real tough one. As I've mentioned before, I do have nerves about people like Manchester City and PSG sort of sniffing around. Granted, they've reportedly got their own targets. You hear like City are interested in Calvin Phillips or other people, but they've got departures as well with Fernandinho and Gundogan there as well. And PSG, you know, whilst they've got a lot going on and they're getting a new director of football in, and they're obviously getting rid of Pochettino, and there's rumours about Mourinho coming in. That new director of football is going to want to be doing big deals, right? He wants to stamp his authority on the team. So I always have nerves about that. But it would appear at the moment we're in the primary position, but it's still this game of convincing. And again, these reports coming out of Spain say Erik ten Hag is convinced of being able to convince Frankie de Jong to join Manchester United. And maybe that's why this is going to be so long and drawn out. Maybe there are those in the club, like John Murtough or like other people involved in this whole transfer situation, and maybe they're saying, Eric, he really doesn't seem interested, or I'm getting really cold feelings from not necessarily Barcelona, but Frankie de Jong's camp. And it would appear that it's Erik ten Hag saying, no. Trust me, I can convince him. I know him. I've known him since he was a kid, and I've got a great relationship with him, and we've got Donny here. He can tell how great it is at Manchester United, his great experience. They've shared the same agent. Maybe we'll get Van der Sar on the phone. I'm convinced I can convince Frankie de Jong to come. And look, let's face it, if we do end up signing Frankie de Jong, you do have to give a lot of credit to Ten Hag and John Murtough of saying, look, you've managed to convince a player that didn't want to come. But your concern and my concern, and I see a lot of you saying this, that, okay, you convince him to join the club, great, but is he going to be truly 100% dedicated and for the cause? And does he believe that Manchester United next season are going to be in the Champions League? Does he believe that last season was just a blip? And does he believe in the project? Does he believe in the restructure at Manchester United? That depends. I guess it depends how great the convincing job that Erik ten Hag does on him, I suppose. Once again, these reports out of Spain from Mundo Deportivo are saying that there is a divergence between, I love that word, there is a divergence between Barcelona over the stance taken to sell Frankie de Jong. Barca's leaders indicate the decision to sell the Dutchman is due to sporting reasons, while the technical staff insist that de Jong must be sacrificed to improve their economic situation, which again is quite interesting because those sort of, I guess the leaders of the club saying, oh no, the reason we're selling him is because he didn't live up to the hype, or the reason we're selling him is because, he hasn't played that well. We've got better players there, which might be partially true, but to me, that seems very much like, as I mentioned before, grandstanding or saving face. The leaders of the club over there, the leaders of one of the biggest, if not, Madrid are probably, after winning all those Champions Leagues in recent years, but certainly one of the two biggest clubs in Spain, they don't want to be perceived as this club that's going through turmoil, even though they are. That is definitely the perception worldwide. That's definitely people looking at them going, wow, man, Barcelona, what a mess. What a mess that's going on right now. How can you not perceive them like that after they lost arguably one of, if not the greatest player of all time last year on a free because they couldn't afford to re-sign his contract or because of all of the financial issues that they have. So the leaders at Barcelona might say, oh, yes, because he's not lived up to the hype. But the economic people are the ones really telling the truth. We can't afford to keep him. And we need to sell him. We need to raise funds. And that's ultimately the situation. As I mentioned before, long story short, when it comes to that, Frankie de Jong is unlikely to be a Barcelona player at the end of the transfer window. The key thing is where is he going to be? Because you would think, with all of the interest and with all of the discussion surrounding United and this deal, we would be front of that queue, as Flex was saying yesterday, but we've missed out on people before. And again, I'm already breaking the negative resolution. And finally, when it comes to Frankie de Jong, again, from the same outlet, according to club sources, Barca have not received any firm or official offer for Frankie de Jong. So the idea that offers have been submitted doesn't look to be the case right now. It just appears that it's still talks ongoing, talks FC, discussions FC, monitoring FC. If Manchester United makes a satisfactory proposal, Barca will study it. They are open to negotiating, which again, I kind of roll my eyes at because they're open to negotiating. They're open to selling. They need to sell. That's the crux of it there. But what I do want to say when it comes to all of that, and Frankie de Jong, is the deal going to be done next week? And again, I have to catch myself. I've caught myself doing this because I've become frustrated. I've become frustrated in recent days of, it's the same and it's the same stories, or it's recycled, or it's just remixed, or when is this deal going to get done? And you do feel an element of, you see other clubs, you see the Villa doing 2 deals, or you see Man City announcing Erling Haaland, and you see all that kind of stuff, and you go, why aren't Man United doing this? Why isn't United doing any of this? What's going on with United? Why aren't we doing any business? Why aren't we doing all this kind of stuff? And you do have to take a step back. And I was thinking about this before. You do have to take a step back and say, the window's not even open. The window opens on Friday. And, it's open till the end of August, beginning of September. There's still a lot of time, and I know that's not really what we want to hear. We want to have a transfer window because we know there's so much business to be done and so much business we need to do, and we want it to be done tomorrow. We want it to be quick, and we want us to get all of these deals done, and by the time the preseason tour comes around, we want to have the majority, if not all of these transfer signings done, and we want it all to be finished, but sometimes it just don't work like that, especially with these big deals like the Frankie de Jong situation, that they do and they will take time. And it is frustrating because you do get drip feed information every single day and it feels like torture, and you just like, I just want to know when it's done, or I just want to know when it's close. But that's kind of the transfer environment that we're living in right now. So I, like you, do grow tiresome and do grow sometimes frustrated with these deals, but also, there are still other clubs that haven't done any business yet this summer, right? Other big clubs that haven't done business this summer, because it's still really, really early into the process. Yes, there are some clubs doing deals, and yes, City have signed Haaland, but that was done for a really long time. Yes, Aston Villa have got their 2 signings, but you get the impression they were in the works for quite a while. And big transfers ultimately, I guess, don't get done overnight. And we do have to be somewhat patient, I would say. Now, speaking of patience, one deal that might require patience is Darwin Nunez. Now, of course, we've been linked to the Benfica striker for weeks now, certainly as Erik ten Hag looks to bolster his attacking options and support Cristiano Ronaldo, have a striking option, whether it's a traditional number 9, whether it's a player that can play across the front three. We are looking for a striker, and reports we will sign a striker this summer. But it's been reported by Alex Crook from TalkSport, quotes, Darwin Nunez, there is genuine interest from Manchester United, but a deal for him is not as close as has been suggested in the Portuguese media. Liverpool are also genuine contenders for him. Now, I hear that and I see that because we have seen that over the course of the last couple of days, and you can see the graphics on the screen right there of the Darwin Nunez deal, how much it would be looking to cost. And that fee, once again, the fees, they get kind of reported, but generally it's been 68 million, 70 million euros, around that kind of price. And look, Darwin Nunez is an interesting one because the reaction he has generated for some Manchester United fans is actually quite interesting, because some United fans really don't fancy him at all, and some people do fancy him at all. So it's always an interesting topic to talk about when it comes to Darwin Nunez. For me, when I hear that Liverpool are interested, it does concern me. The reason it concerns me is because, of course, that project is certainly more appealing than Manchester United at the moment. You can't argue that. They've got one of the best coaches in the world. They've got Champions League football. They were in the Champions League final this past season. They've been in the Champions League final how many times? Was it 3 times over the course of the last 5 years or something like that? It's impressive. They've been competing for titles. Sadio Mane looks to be leaving this summer as well. So Liverpool are in the market for a striker or a replacement for Mane. Whether or not Darwin Nunez will be that, whether or not Liverpool can afford the Nunez price, that must be said as well, because Liverpool, for all of their success, they're relatively shrewd when it comes to their spending. I know they signed the likes of Van Dijk and Alisson for big money, but you have to remember that's because they sold Coutinho at the time. Since then, they don't spend a ton of money when it comes to players. So if they sign Nunez for this price, that would probably be their summer spending, you would think. But the fact that they're involved in that and they're interested, you could say maybe it's just agent talk, and it's Darwin Nunez trying to get Manchester United to act quicker. That's a possibility as well. That's the transfer window in a nutshell. It is always a game of give and take when it comes to transfers. But Liverpool being interested in him, not that other clubs being interested should solidify us being interested in the player or should solidify the quality of the player. What I would say is that if Liverpool are interested in him, how many signings have they done over the course of the last 3 or 4 years that they've got wrong? Pretty much every single transfer they do is bang on. And that's a credit to them because their scouting, their recruitment is very, very good. And again, not to say, Liverpool are interested, so we should be going after Darwin Nunez, but that does concern me. But by all accounts, that deal doesn't look like it's going to get done anytime soon. So going back to my point I was just talking about a couple of minutes ago when it comes to patience, that Darwin Nunez deal, irrespective of where he goes, doesn't really look like it's going to be done until maybe July, maybe a bit later than that. It might be a case of the season might have already started and we're still talking about where's Darwin Nunez going to go, as he still hasn't made up his mind. So who knows with that one, but any expectation we should hear something about Darwin Nunez in the next couple of weeks or maybe in the next month doesn't look to be likely. But it looks like United, along with Liverpool and possibly a host of other clubs, are interested in him. So we'll have to wait and see when it comes to that one. Mike Phelan, I teased you earlier that we were going to talk about Mike Phelan. And I said this was the thing that was going to keep people hooked. This was the thing that, forget Frankie de Jong, forget Darwin Nunez, forget Dean Henderson, forget all that kind of stuff. What you're really here for is Mike Phelan. Now, Mike Phelan's future, as you can see on the screen, is currently unclear. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, by the way, guys. We've got over 700 people watching. Only 140 likes. Can you hear it yet? Exactly. Double disgraceful. We're talking about a Phelan departure and the likes low. Double disgrace. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Mike Phelan, yes. This comes from The Athletic, has been told he will not be part of Erik ten Hag's group, but his future is unclear, which is a bizarre one, right? And this is the only reason I'm talking about this morning, because if it was a case of Mike Phelan's leaving the club, we know Mike Phelan's leaving the club. We know Mike Phelan isn't going to be on the Manchester United coaching staff next summer because Ten Hag's bringing in his own people. Phelan came in originally as part of the Solskjaer coaching staff. Under Ralph Rangnick, no one really knew what he was doing. Anyway, everyone else is coming out in tracksuits. Mike Phelan's coming out in a suit. Occasionally, Phelan would, put his arm around the player and give him a pat on the shoulder. You know, maybe do tea, hand out Kit Kats, put out cones. You know, that was kind of what Mike was doing this season. So the assumption that he was going to be leaving was no surprise. But the reason this is interesting is because yesterday, I think it was yesterday, The Athletic, and they've done this before, they posted like an org chart or sort of hierarchical structure of what that structure is at Manchester United, the updated version. So the version that now has John Murtough as the football director, and our new deputy football director on there as well, and Darren Fletcher and Eric Ten Hag and his coaching staff, and Richard Arnold and Joel Glazer at the top. But Mike Phelan was still listed on that. And people were saying at the time, wait a minute, why is Mike Phelan still listed on that? I thought he was leaving. So that report kind of backs up that chart that came out yesterday where it says he's been told he's not part of the group, the coaching group, but we still don't really know his future, which is curious because, of course, he signed a new contract last year. I think it was the end of last year. 2024, exactly. Cheers, Mike. And it's always good to have him nearby, Mike. Not Josh, they're different people. Josh has got the flu. Mike doesn't. He's fine. They're both in there. He's doing a little sort of lemsip remedy for Josh. It's very kind, actually. Very nice of him. He's got the time on his hands. That's what he's going to become. He's going to become the UVT man. But yeah, so that was quite curious. So maybe it's a case of United going, well, don't really want to sort of terminate that contract because we're going to have to pay it. So maybe he could be in a role where he's doing less. He's doing less than what he was doing last season. He might just be sort of around the club. Maybe he's in some kind of, I don't know, ambassador job. I don't know. That is wild. We talk about Pereira having more lives than a cat. Mike Phelan could still be around at the end of next year. Unbelievable. But that means we'll have more interactions with Phelan here at United View. Forget Steve McLaren. Phelan might stay. Forget McLaren, exactly. Finally, let's talk about Dean Henderson. Speaking of departures, Dean Henderson, a lot of people assumed that he was going to be leaving this summer. I assumed he was going to be leaving this summer. We don't know if it was going to be a permanent deal or a loan deal. It looked likely that it was maybe going to be a loan deal, and maybe he could still eventually one day become Manchester United's number one. Some people, there's the Dean Henderson fan club out there. They really like him. You go on social media, you will see he's got fans. But it doesn't look like Dean Henderson's going to Newcastle at all. It was reported in the Telegraph, Luke Edwards, Newcastle United are not planning to sign Dean Henderson this summer. He is admired within St. James's Park, but there has been no attempt made to sign him, and that is not going to change this window, which is pretty firm. Reports linking Henderson to Newcastle have been widespread, and there were claims of an imminent announcement, but that has been vehemently denied in the last 24 hours by senior sources at Newcastle, and it is extremely unlikely that things will change. So it looks like that was a deal that at one point was reported to be 24 hours away from being announced. That deal looks like, no, it was never happening. It's not happening. We're not interested. And Newcastle are just saying, no, we're not going after Dean Henderson. We don't want Dean Henderson, which is interesting because I'd be interested to know. Let me know in the chat, where does he go? Because the general assumption was, oh yeah, he'll go Newcastle. That was the club he was linked to in January. I mean, everyone was linked to Newcastle in January. They were moving madly in January, signing all of those players. And in fairness to them, paid off because not only they survive relegation, but watch them next season because they're a decent side. Just ask any Arsenal fan, right, Josh? They're a good side. Yeah, exactly. So, they're a good side. So keep an eye out for them next season. But where does he go? What club does he go to? I think previously he was linked with Bournemouth, maybe. But does he want to be once again at that side like he was previously with Sheffield United? I know when Sheffield United first came into the Premier League, that season, that magic season where they were quality. And actually, they could have they had that, what was it? It was one of the first games back, a Project Restart, where the ball was over the line, but the goal line technology didn't give it. And who knows what have happened with all that? Because they were pushing for fourth at one point. Now they're in the Championship. But my point is that maybe he doesn't really want to be in that side again that's going to be fighting relegation, right? And that's what Bournemouth will be doing next season. He would have hoped that he'd been, at the very least, at a mid-table side or a side that's pushing for the top half. So I don't know if I see him going to Bournemouth. So where does he go? I'm not sure. I don't know where he goes. And it's a case of he doesn't want to be sitting on the bench once again for Manchester United this season, because make no mistake, he's the number 2. David De Gea is the number 1, certainly for this season. You could argue, and maybe some of the people that aren't fans of David De Gea, Cam or Marcel, that's my sort of subtle coughing thing there. It works really well. You could argue that maybe if he does sit on the bench of Manchester United this season and De Gea doesn't adapt, then maybe Henderson will get his chance because his distribution's better and he's better at coming off his line. I don't know. But he will be conscious that a World Cup is coming up in December and he needs to be playing. If he's not playing, he's not going to make the World Cup squad. But is Bournemouth that move? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Bournemouth is that move for him. So keep an eye out for that one, because otherwise, I don't know what Premier League club he goes to. He could go abroad. Certainly, we've seen successes of players going abroad. You know, Chris Smalling, Tomori, they're doing very well in Serie A. Who's to say that Dean Henderson won't go abroad and do very well in another country as well? But definitely one club he's not going to be going to, if you believe the sources coming out of Newcastle, is Newcastle United. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one as well. But anyway, guys, look, we're going to wrap it up there. As I mentioned, be sure to smash a like on the like button. We still got over 700 people watching, over 760 people watching. Less than 200 likes. Describe. I was waiting. That was your cue, Josh. That was. Yes, we've got to push up. I will wait. We will wait live until we get to that 200 number. We will. I'll just wait. I can feel dead air. I'm not afraid of silence. I'm quite afraid of silence, actually. There we go. It's already up. It's already up to 200. We can finish there. Anyway, guys, look, as I mentioned, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. This evening, we're back. I'm here with KG, Flex and KG show without Flex. Keep an eye out for that one. We're out of here. Have a good Tuesday morning, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.